Hi guys, it's Sunday night and welcome to the APAT Show. You've got Lee and I tonight and we're going to be looking at your poker play throughout the evening and discussing lots and lots of other things, I'm sure. We'll be back with you right after this. Lee, I've spent the last 2 hours looking for the roller. Where the hell is it?
Rebrand, Des. It's a rebrand. Did you not get the memo?
No, I didn't get the memo. They don't send me the memos any longer, Lee.
Oh.
Tell me, whatever about the roller, is the stream up and running?
I think so, yeah. The
Everything
stream
looks
is
to be
looking
fine,
good.
but I can't find it on my phone.
That's not a good start. I've
Do
got
tell
the
me.
stream up. Yeah, it's
Thank God for that.
ticking along with numbers. Do give us a shout out in the chat and say hello, so we know you're there, and we'll give you a shout out as well. But yeah, whole new look to a Sunday night, Des, on the APAT schedule.
Super.
And if you weren't expecting it, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
Well, listen, here's a little trick of the trade, right? Because I need to push a lot of buttons to get this thing up and running, I need to monitor a few things. I always, as you know, the others might not, I always pre-record the intro. So the little 10, 15, 20-second intro, I just pre-record that so it goes through a little sequence, bing, 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 everything's good. So I pre-recorded that at about 9:30, right? About half an hour ago, pre-recorded that, played it back, everything works fine, it's great. Then turned on Party Poker, right, went into the lobby, right, gonna open the roller, gonna open the deep stack. There's no goddamn roller. There's no goddamn deep stack. I'm talking about the deep stack and the roller in the intro. We're going to be watching your roller and deep stack play, I said. So, yeah, I'm going to quickly smash that, do it live. We're all fine. It's all good. We're cool
good.
now.
We're all good. Let me tell you what we've had going on today. Because I say it's the culmination of the first week of the new leaderboard ladders. So 16 events each week. Get in the cash, earn some points, get on the leaderboard basically. And on a Sunday now we've got 4 events. So what I guess was the deep stack has moved to a 5 o'clock start, $11 buy-in. So that had 89 runners tonight. And I'll give you some information on who finished where on that in a little while. The Sunday roller is now the Sunday main event. Same principle, $33 buy-in. That's got a $2,500 guarantee. We've smashed that tonight.
Oh, smashed it. There's a lot of players
runners
in that tonight.
Yeah, over $3,000 in the prize pool there. We've added a PLO main event that started at 8 o'clock. That's got 31 runners in that. That's a $33 buy-in. And then we're ending now at 9 o'clock, the nice little turbo knockout. That's got 71 runners in that. So we've got a few things to follow tonight. And of course, there's a few different options on what might happen with the leaderboard. So before the start of play today, Dean Pearson was top of the leaderboard. Well, he only went and won the first one of the night. Won the deep stack, 89 entrants, picking up $233 and some points. But I can tell you, Mr. Pearson now has his feet up in the clubhouse. He is not in any.
He's declared. He's declared, Lee, hasn't he? He's declared on.
He was the first one to bust in the turbo knockout at 9 o'clock. 71 runners and he finished 71st. Ooh. So he is, as you say, declared on 312 points. Now that seems a lot. You know, he's cashed in 5 of the 16 events this week.
He's safe. He's safe as houses, Lee. Safe as houses. There's no catching him.
However,
really?
there are a few that could catch him. So Nanine Rogers is on 204 points at the moment, so only 108 points away. Nanine is currently 7th of 12 players remaining in the new main event. Points up for grabs in the main event, 105 points up top.
And how far behind is he?
108.
Well, that's not going to help him, is it?
But is he still in the final event of the night? I haven't.
It would seem to me that whether he is or not is detail. He needs 108 points.
Yeah, but if he's in the other tournament, there's more points he can get.
Okay, I get it now. Does John Murray know this, Lee? Does John Murray know this?
No, John's got no idea how the points work.
Because frankly, if Dean loses after winning 5 events, carding birdies in 37 other events this week, we're going to be in trouble. I know we are.
But basically, the way it works, so the top 20 pick up tickets, but you do get multipliers for the top 5. So second to fifth pick up 2 lots of tickets, and if you win the leaderboard, you pick up 3 lots of tickets. And your ticket value depends on what step you are on the ladder. Everybody starts on step 1. If you're in the top 20, you move up a step for the following week. If you're out of the top 20, you move down a step for the following week.
When did we do
can't
that?
Be any lower than step 1.
I thought everybody in the top 20 picked up like they started with a $5 ticket. Now they get 3 $5 tickets.
If you win it, you get 3 $5 tickets.
So
but
what
obviously
if
next week, if you're in the top 20, obviously next week you're playing for $11 tickets.
But you get like 3 $11 tickets.
You'd get 3 $11 tickets.
What if you get up to 109? You get 3
were
109 tickets.
If you were on step 5 and you were going for the 109 tickets and you won it that week, you would pick up 3 lots of 109 tickets.
Oh my God! We're gonna have to talk to Sanjay about the bank account, and we're just gonna have to check all the balances, Lee. Really, 3 109 tickets.
I've checked the insurance. We'll be good. It'll be fine. Honestly, won't be a problem at all. So
I'm feeling really weak now. I'm gonna have to go and get a water. Well, listen. No, that sounds like really good fun. And we have got a bunch of guys and gals, I'm sure, in the chat box. Peter Wigglesworth is there. Mr. Pearson is there. He now has a nervous wait. Lee, he's got a nervous wait because we know this sucker is going to go down to the final table of the roller main, call it what we will, anyway, because that's almost guaranteed. Very, very pleasant to see one Rob Swindells in the chat box.
Rob's had a decent week in
has he?
So
good.
Yeah, he's had 2 cashes during the week. He's currently sat 8th on the leaderboard.
Okay.
Well, so he looks. I'd like to think 8th with 3 events to go has probably secured him at least a ticket and a step up for next week. I think
he's in trouble. He's in trouble, Lee. I'm not sure it's going to be worth the cost. He does say great Sunday schedule. Not sure Mrs. S has appreciated it on Mother's Day.
Oh dear.
Tell her about the triple tickets.
He's currently chip leader in the PLO main event with 7 players remaining. So they're 1 away from hitting the money on that. There's $375 up top for that PLO event, Des. I mean, would that'll buy Mrs. S a few flowers and chocolates and kind of, apology gifts, yeah?
Yeah. Listen, do we give tickets out to our most loyal viewers? Because it was somewhat similar last week. But I've got one Mr. Peter Wigglesworth. He's watching us, I think, on 5 different accounts.
Yeah, he's probably got his set up on multiple screens. I don't know about you, but I'm struggling to see very much in the chat on Facebook at the moment.
I can see we've got a lot of people in there, but I can't see a lot of comments. So, guys, because Facebook apparently, particularly if you're reviewing these things on mobile, and we have to review them on mobile because the poker is up on desktops here in terms of streaming it out to you. Facebook does not show all of the comments. It just doesn't. So, give us a hello or whatever in the chat box. That will show us that you're there and we can call you out and have a chat through the evening. We did have a really great guest lined up, Lee. We had one Mr. David Lappin. David is one of the sort of ambassadors for, believe it or not, Unibet Poker. And David is a guy that we've done some stuff with in the past outside of APAT. We were going to bring him on. A prolific player, a real grinder. This is a guy who has ground up to 60 tables a night on a Sunday night, and he said, don't worry, Des, I'll cut back to 15 or 20. It'll be totally fine for the chat. So unfortunately we couldn't get David on tonight because of a tech issue at our end, but I'm sure we'll get him on in the next couple of weeks, and I'm quite looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to that. We had David on an episode of The Orbit, didn't we? And very good and very always interested in what he's got to say about what's going on in the poker world. And boy, is there a lot going on at the moment. So it's kind of Twitter has been exploding most of the week.
Wow.
For one reason or another.
Well, but it's mostly for one reason, right?
Well, yeah. It's mostly one particular reason.
Basically, it's all our fault. Maybe not.
Quite
maybe not.
Possibly. We did seem to put the Orbit in the middle of the discussion to start with, although it has moved on a little bit from there. But it's important stuff that's needed to be discussed. So
yeah, listen, I picked up some worldly advice this week because there is a ton of discussion on Twitter and everywhere else about lots of stuff. Be it sexist ambassadors at certain poker rooms, or sort of the royal family and the issues that they're having and stuff like that. And I picked up this video that I thought was very funny. Now there's a little bit of choice language in there, so I warn our viewers ahead. But I think we're okay. I think we're past the
cover the kids' ears.
Yeah, cover the kids' ears if they're still up on a Sunday night. But let me play this for you. I'm sure you'll recognise who our hero is. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something new. There we go. So here we go.
I see these things that are in the news all the time, like things that blow up. Couldn't give a fuck. It makes me angry that people care about shit. Celebrity shit is the worst. I don't care. I don't care who said what about who. I don't care who you're fucking going out with. I don't care who you split up with. I don't fucking care. I don't care what your fucking family think of you or what you think. Just fucking do it. Just shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Oh dear. Ricky Gervais has finally cracked. I think he's finally cracked Lee. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And I must admit, I'm getting to that point myself. There's certain things I don't care about.
I think I've spoken on the show before. He does an amazing piece in one of the stand-up shows that he's done, where he's talking about Twitter and people misunderstanding what Twitter's all about, and just because he posts something on Twitter it's not aimed at you personally. It's just him posting his views, and you can choose to listen. Not any kind of tells us a story of, if you're kind of walking down the street and there's an advert up in the window for a guitar lessons, and you like getting all angry because you don't want guitar lessons. What are they doing asking me for guitar?
Right,
I'm gonna
walk
phone
on,
the number,
son, walk on.
and you phone the number, and you phone up and you go, I don't want guitar lessons. What are you doing trying to give me guitar? He's like, it's not aimed at you. It's a brilliant piece, because it's exactly how people take Twitter. It's just
I quite like that. I quite like that. And we've seen incidences of people really taking Twitter to heart, right? And there's two types of comments, right? There's comments that are like just not acceptable, right? Racism, that sort of stuff. There's a lot of that happens on Twitter. It's not acceptable. But then there are personal comments, just about you, people being critical of something you said, or why is that person doing that, and all of that sort of stuff. Just let it go. Let it go over the top. Don't let it worry.
It's I think you described it a number of weeks ago. I think when I brought up the subject of the rugby interviewer
that's right.
We talked about, and yes, your description just said, that Twitter has been very toxic for a very long time. It is quite apt, and unfortunately, I guess when you've got things going on in the world that are quite divisive, and especially with what's gone on this week, and with what happened with Vigil, and how the police dealt with that, and all these things, and all this stuff is going on at the moment, and people, it is not, it's actually not a pleasure. I've actually stopped going on Twitter today, because I just was like, I can't. It's just whenever I go on there now, I'm just going down, oh, well, let's have a read about that, and you start reading comments, and I'm like, what am I doing? It's quite depressing, really.
But
it's just like
it's very easy to get intoxicated by it, right? It's very easy to get dragged in and to get very personally involved, and to get into bed after a session of tweeting and actually feel somewhat worked up by something somebody said to you. I must admit, for me,
and if you listen to half of it, you kind of go, crikey, I need to do something here. I'm not doing enough. I'm not caring enough, or I'm not taking enough of a stand. And of course, what you've got is mostly you've got extreme views, either one way or the other, on a particular situation. There's not much balance in there, is there, really?
No, I mean, I semi-like Facebook because you're generally, at least I find, generally surrounded by people I know, right? I tend not to connect with too many people that I don't know. Now, I might connect with people through APAT that I don't necessarily know, but that's fine. I'm very happy with that. But I generally connect with people I know. On Twitter, I only tend to use that for project-orientated stuff. So if I'm doing something with APAT or something with football, something like that, and these people generally I don't know, and a lot of them are toxic. And, they change identities quickly. It's like, it's just things forever move around. Now, I actually went out today, Lee, and as I said, I do a bit of brand, I'll do brand orientation stuff on Twitter, and I actually wore my Twitter outfit out because, out can be toxic, So let's see if this, crikey, let's see if this works. Yeah, there we go. So I was doing a bit of brand building out today. I was wearing my Twitter outfit. What do you think?
That's it's quite scary, actually.
I think that's a decent look.
Yeah,
I do. I think
so.
That's a decent
John Murray wants to know whether I've still got the number for the guitar lessons, please.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good man. And listen, Dean Pearson is saying, he's happy to have declared by 9 p.m. He's got his feet up now.
Do that. I mean, the deep stat that starts at 5 o'clock now. As I say, Dean picked up $233 for that, and it was done by just after 9 o'clock.
Fantastic.
Which is great for anyone that just wants to play a tournament, but doesn't actually want to be too late on a Sunday and wants to start a little bit earlier. It's an ideal one for you to get involved with.
Ideal scenario.
I'm just looking at these prizes up top. I mean, we're still going to call it the roller, even though it's now the Sunday main event. But it's at $836 up top tonight for that.
Really?
Down to 9 players. These guys are all now guaranteed $100. It's very, very nice indeed. John had a good has had a good couple of results so far this week. Picked up a win earlier on in the week and finished joint third in the heads up earlier on. The discussion we had, I don't know whether you saw it, Des, on Facebook. I think you did, because I think you might have commented on something. But it was
did I? Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was obviously around the points and the structures, and whether it's going to be that it just would mean that the last event somebody can just go and do a win. And I think the reality of it is, if you look at the top 8 players currently in the leaderboard at the moment, they've all got multiple cashes so far this week. The highest placed person that's got 1 cash so far is 9th, and that's Thorada Eriksson from Iceland. Simon Gordon had a win on Saturday night. He's in 10th at the moment. But yeah, the likelihood is that for the top 5 positions where you've got the extra bonuses of the extra tickets, you're going to need multiple cashes. As simple as that. Even the main event tonight, which has got 111 runners, it's only 105 points. Even if you won that tonight, 105 points will put you 12th on the leaderboard. So basically, you are going to need multiple cashes if you want to get into those top 5 positions. There's no saying that you'll get top 20 if you win one of the big ones in the week with decent runners. I've got no doubt that you'll make it into the top 20. But if you want those extra points, you are going to have to do multiple cashes.
I dare say, as we always do, we'll let it run for a few weeks and we'll see what happens. If
very much
unhealthy trends build, we'll address it, because we wouldn't necessarily want. I mean, I think we were all quite disappointed with the way the WCOAP main player of the series went, because we absolutely did not want that to happen.
It was the only real negative that I think we took away from the 2 weeks, probably, really. Was that. And but in the same side, the reason for it was a real
got
positive.
250 more players than we expected, right?
Because we were kind of not even sure we were going to hit that guarantee. So the fact that we did that, and it ended up that actually it was very difficult for players to run super deep. I think with these type of numbers in these type of events, where I think the most runners we've had tonight this week, 160. That's the right sort of number, which means that there's not too much of a variant on that. But what I can say is Dean Pearson picked up 5 cashes for the week. Well, Matti Ogilvie is also going to hit 5 as well, because we've hit the money in the PLO with 6 players left, and Matty is still going in that. He's currently 3rd on the leaderboard, so he's probably vying for second. Whether I don't think he'll be able to catch Dean, but but 5 cashes in the week for Matty as well, which is pretty impressive going. That's cashing in cashing in the third of your tournaments if you've played them all. And the chances are you've not played every single one of them.
That is pretty prolific. And Dean has also added that, look, the irony is that Nanine knocked me out of the main tonight. So if Nanine does go on to to win through a great, finish in the main here and a cash elsewhere, then he'll have taken it into his own hands by knocking Dean out right at the start of the main.
Well, we've got a final table in the Sunday
See if we
main
can
event.
put that up.
Yeah, so I'll quickly rattle through who we've got. Preto Canero is chip leader in that at the moment. Yanis Claridis from Greece is second in chips. Deneen third in chips. Hans Latin from Germany fourth. Martin Mulso from Austria. Our old friend Andre Tin.
Andre, has he got his medal, Lee? I'm going to assume he has, because
I'm assuming he has.
We haven't heard anything, but it would be nice to hear. From
Kazakhstan. If you win this tonight, Andre, Des has promised he will sing the Kazakhstan national anthem live on the show.
I can't make that promise twice. It'll be, it's like clickbait. People are just going to be coming in every week to see how Andre's doing, on the off chance that I might have to sing the Kazakhstan national anthem semi-naked. That would be clickbait. It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be the right thing to do, Lee.
Seventh in chips, there is Evelyn Johnson. Evelyn finished second in the PLO knockout yesterday. Lost heads up at the hands of Dean Pearson. Oh, honestly, not the first person for that to happen to. And finally, Niels gonna Oscar Rabe from Sweden.
I'll tell you what.
Eighth player. Right mix of countries tonight. We've got 3 from the UK, 1 from Kazakhstan, 1 from Germany, 1 from Greece, 1 from Austria, and 1 from Sweden.
That's fantastic.
Nice mix.
I'll tell you, I had a really quick glance at the leaderboard there, and I thought I saw that Mike Matazau was playing. And, the mouth Matazau.
Yes, but no, Martin Mulso. No,
it's Martin Mulso.
Yeah.
Close, but no cigar, as they say.
Absolutely. So these guys now, 8 players left. They're guaranteed $118, but $836 up top, Des, for $33. And I'll tell you, hey, the greatest thing. Now, you want to see, if you've not been in the lobby all week, because I know you've been had a very, very busy week.
I have had a busy.
So I always go on about, it's great if you can win big money on a Sunday night, and you've feed it in for $3.30. Yeah. That's an impressive ROI. Well, we've got new 33-cent satellites into the $3.30s. So you can actually get into this thing on a Sunday night now for 33 cents.
Oh, fantastic. Has anybody done that? Do we know?
No idea whether anyone has, but I'd love to know, if anybody does cash in our new Sunday main event from a 33-cent feeder sat.
So what do we think has driven the extra traffic tonight? The just by putting a guarantee up there, even though we smashed that guarantee.
Yeah, I think there's that. We've also, as I say, we've just got a few more feeders and a few more a bit more structure on some of the satellites, and I think also there's a nice, with having 4 events on a Sunday night, there's a little bit more to play for, which everyone's gone in for. But as I say, we've every guarantee we've had in the week, we missed the studs guarantee by like 3 players, which is unusual because normally we hit those numbers no problem. And for some reason, the PLO tonight missed by about 3 players as well. But everything else has absolutely smashed in the week. So it's great. So I appreciate everybody supporting the new schedule and hopefully enjoying just the leaderboard ladders, which, let's remember, they're supposed to be a bit of fun, a bit of added value back. Supporting players that have a good week and just giving some tickets back. It's not meant to be anything too serious. And as I think I said on my post when we were having the discussion with John and the guys regarding the points and everything, the fact of the matter is that the money that is up top in all of these events is going to far outweigh any added value. Unless you do 5 weeks in a row and are going for the win, then that's about the only scenario where that will make a difference, and that's not going to happen very often. I think it will happen, but I don't think it's going to happen every single week. But yeah, players should be just playing for the win in each tournament that they play, and if they get some extra added value from the leaderboard at the end of the week, well, that's just a bonus. Yeah, well, that's very much the way you should be looking at it.
They've certainly got more added value than I was aware of. It just ching. Whoa, slow down. What's going on there? It's not going to go up again next week, Lee, is it?
What do you mean? As in,
it's not. We're not going to give them like 5 109 tickets. No, I know they can't get 109 tickets next week, but
No. It stays at 3. So the winner gets 3 tickets. Second to fifth get 2 tickets, and then 6th to 20th get a ticket. And say, depending on what step you're on. So if you finish in the top 20 this week, you'll move up to step 2, playing for an $11 ticket next week. So,
wow, I think it's great.
What do you reckon?
I mean,
do
I
you
really
think?
like it.
I mean, do you think Dean will be the first? I mean, first to do it. There's a few of them in the mix. This week.
Well, he's,
there's some regular names in that top 20. Say Andre Tin, who's on the final table again here now. He's already cashed twice this week. He's 16th on the leaderboard at the moment. Tony Ross is 18th on the leaderboard. Pete Wigglesworth 14th on the leaderboard. Gary Young 12th. Rob Swindells we mentioned. John Murray is 7th. Yanni is 5th on the leaderboard. Aaron Swaziland is 4th on the leaderboard. We mentioned Matty Ogilvy. So yeah, there's some regular APAT names that we know from Poker Squad's days that are consistent in these tournaments. So it'll be interesting to see whether we get, maybe in a couple of weeks' time, we've got somebody maybe up at a step 3 going for a $33 ticket.
Yeah, I think it'll make it really interesting for us as well. Just, watching their play, knowing there's, they're getting into some serious value there.
But you don't need to worry about working out what steps you're on. We'll calculate that for you. And also what we'll do, so the leaderboard every week that's on the website. So if you go into rankings and look at weekly leaderboard, you'll see it there. And it's also got the full schedule and how the points are calculated and all of that stuff. On the leaderboard, we've got obviously your name and the country that you're from. We've also got the step that you're on. And we tell you how many times you've been in the money that week and the number of points you're on, and therefore the number of the tickets that you're up for. Fantastic. What we will do is, obviously, if you've got points in the week, you'll be on the leaderboard. That's obviously goes without saying. But what we will also do is, if you've moved up a step, so you're not on step 1, we will also add you onto the leaderboard with 0 points, so you know what step you're on. If you're not on the leaderboard, then obviously the assumption is just that you're on step 1 and you've not got any points yet. But just for those players that are going to be above step 1, we'll make sure they're on the leaderboard with 0 points, so they know they can look themselves up and see what they're playing for.
Cool. Neat. Like it.
It'll be easy to follow for everybody. We were looking at, we could put it on a separate table and get it all in one. Makes life a lot easier. Yeah. So,
and tell me, Lee, if somebody gets to the point of maybe winning the 109s, and repeating, are we able to fake the table? Can we change the numbers? Can we just tear it up and have a recount and do it all again? Yeah. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Thank God.
That's the point where we'll leave the country. And, won't be a problem.
It'll be fine though, because I don't go out without my mask now. I don't know about you. Nobody knows me. They don't know me anymore.
It will be interesting because I think the 109 is doable. I think 5 weeks in a row in the top 20 is achievable. I'd be surprised if it's achievable by more than maybe 1 or 2 people in a given week. I don't know. It feels tough because to give you an idea, we've got currently, let's have a look. Before I've got the final 3 events of the weekend, 147 players have cashed this week.
Wow. Okay, so that does make it interesting. And as word,
grows, plus we've got 3 more events to go on to this tonight. So we're going to have some people that are going to be cashing for the first time tonight. So we'll be up over 150 players will cash in the week. Okay. And you've got to be in the top 20 of those.
And they've got to be an APAT member to claim the prizes, I assume, the added value. Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
So
it sounds like a lot of fun.
It's tough. But if we get the numbers up and we have the guarantees keep going up, then we may well look to say it's not going to be top 20 anymore. We might make it top 25, or we might make it top 30. We've got scope to do all sorts, and we've got scope to say make that prize not 3 tickets, 5 tickets. Maybe it's 7 tickets. Maybe it's a ticket for every day of the week. We'll say lots of opportunities. Obviously, it's all about players supporting, getting involved, and playing the events, and we'll see where we can take it. Exactly the same with the guarantees. Party Poker have been really good and have put guarantees on across the entire schedule. If they're regularly being beaten week after week after week, well, we're going to be talking to Party and saying, hey, we need to increase these. There's no point in having a guarantee in a tournament if it's being hit every single week. You need to see what you can do with it.
That's what we do. If the players, continue to play the events and the numbers go up and up, then we can do our thing, right? In the background, we can try and push the added value up and up.
Completely.
Lee, you intimated earlier about there being a lot going on in poker during this week. As Nanine is all in with Ace King, needs to hit a club. Oh, there's a king on the end.
Well, a king will do as well. A king is good. Yeah.
So Nanine stays in. Sorry, Lee. You intimated that there was a lot going on in poker this week. Part of the story related to an ambassador playing at a certain poker room who has been given, some abuse to women and stuff like that, and not particularly nice to hear, but a subject that we covered in the Orbit and the Orbit Extra, which went out on Monday night. So the Orbit Extra was a new format that we've pushed out. It was its debut showing on Monday night, and our own Natalie Bromley, host of the show, did a wonderful job. I'm going to play the first 2 minutes of it, right? We're just going to play a little bit just to show the guys, to get a sense of whether, in fact, this could be a popular format. We may very well run it again. So this is for you. Oh, do we not have it? Maybe we don't have it, Lee.
I was going to say, I don't remember it looking like this.
It looks very blank, doesn't it?
Sure.
Let me have a little poke around under the hood.
Yeah, see whether you can find
see if I can find it, because that was
where it's
mucho good.
Whilst it's going on. Meanwhile, on this final table, we've already lost the mouth. Martin also from Austria has departed, and Nanine's gone chip leader now after the that ace king versus ace jack hand. Hands is all in under the gun. Blinds are still 17.5k, 35k. So there's well over, it's about 22 bigs is average stack here at the moment. So no urgency.
Plenty of play. 7 left.
Plays. And because of the pay, this is real kind of serious time now with the pay jumps going up. $140 is min cash now.
Yeah, we quite like that.
So there's another $700 on top up there for top.
I think I may have this file. Let me try again.
There we go. There we go.
Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Orbit Extra, the show that's going to put you in the driving seat with live and immediate reaction to the very latest episode of the Orbit. I'm your host, Natalie Bromley, and I'll be joined this evening with two very special guests who will be discussing with you their thoughts on that fantastic episode of The Orbit that we have just watched, especially for International Women's Day. Now, before we kick off, let's make this all about you. Let's put you in the driving seat. You will see, as you're watching this, the comments box. Get your questions in there. Get your immediate reaction to the show. Get whatever topics you want our panel to discuss. We'll be keeping an eye on that throughout the show, and we'll be picking them out to put them to our panel. Now, very shortly, we're going to be welcoming to the show the very wonderful Cara Scott. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce the main man himself, the host of The Orbit, Robbie Straczynski. Robbie, welcome to The Orbit Extra and the opposite side of the microphone this evening.
I'm going to take them off now at this point. Now, before we talk about Natalie and the sort of the 48-minute show that she did live for us on Monday night, what was the objective of this show? This is like an after show. It's a reaction show, effectively. Just to tell us what the premise is.
Yeah, so we've had this idea for a while, which is, obviously we record the Orbit, and sort of a week later after we record it, we put it out, and we've been putting it out live on Twitch and on Twitch Poker, and kind of then people have been chatting in the chat box, and then it's gone on Facebook and YouTube and that kind of. But we kind of, and it used to get, it got a lot of reaction on Twitter, so there'd be a lot of discussion on Twitter. and a lot of the industry would start discussing things and commenting on it, and it was great. And there was lots of, we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we could get that kind of chat and discussion straight after the show and have it as like a watch along kind of episode with then this extra show where you could then put your questions to some of the guests to answer direct. So that's what we kind of came up with, this idea of watch the show kind of together, and then straight away some of the views and discussions and things that have been talked about, you can offer your views. And I mean, it just, people piled into it.
It was great, wasn't it?
On Facebook.
It's great. It got a lot of views, got a lot of comments.
Yeah, it really, really did. And people asking questions and offering their opinion. And Natalie did really, really well to kind of grab those questions and get them to Cara or to Robbie, or sometimes answering herself or her views on it. And before the 45 minutes flew by, didn't it? I mean, it really, really did.
Yeah, it felt like a very worthwhile format, because a lot of poker stuff is pre-recorded, or the live stuff is streaming of cards and stuff like that. So as a chat format, I thought it worked very, very well. And it was referenced many times during the past 7 days where these other discussions are ongoing. Even Cara saying, well, I was on the Orbit Extra and I said this, that, and the other. It's fantastic just to be part of that discussion. It felt important.
Yeah, well, it did, and obviously with some of the stuff that got discussed on the show itself, I guess from our point of view, we're very fortunate. So we had Diver Byrne on, who is kind of one of the new GG Poker. She's not an ambassador, is she? It's I can't remember
outreach.
The title exactly. Is an outreach position, and so obviously she's had is kind of deep in the in the discussion regarding certain other ambassadors and things that have been said on Twitter against certain female players, and of course, it exploded a little bit further later on in the week after we broadcast that on the Monday with some other affiliate account stuff going on and all sorts of stuff, and it felt very much that we were kind of the moment, and in that discussion and in that kind of in that the news story that was breaking, because that's really what seems to have gone on this week. I mean, Twitter just was on meltdown with towards the end of the week, with poker players' views taking one side or the other. Majority seemed to be actually kind of against the site and what they'd done, but it also showed again, sadly, another rather toxic side to Twitter in the way it can go after individuals, for no apparent reason, maybe.
No, absolutely. It is part of the debate over there. So that was a nice piece of work. Nice to see that developing. Back to our poker.
And what I would say, I thought Natalie was superb.
Very good.
She's a very good friend of mine, so I would say that anyway. But she genuinely was just superb. Just absolutely nailed it in the role, and I think I got the balance spot on.
Yeah, because you had
being discussed.
You had senior industry people within the chat box commenting and asking questions, and it's a live show, so it's very hard to prep stuff. You don't quite know what's going to come up, but she managed the flow of traffic incredibly well, which is the real skill in it, without looking perturbed. I thought she was excellent. Of course, Robbie's massively experienced, but not necessarily massively experienced in a live video.
No.
And
I think what was great was we got a number of comments from people in the industry afterwards, just complimenting Natalie on her hosting and presenting and managing of the show. So yes, it's a very successful addition to what we do.
So, no pun on the topic of Monday's show, but does Natalie now have a value in the market, and can we transfer her for a big fee?
Yes.
Can we sell her onto the Man City of podcasts, or what?
We don't even need. She doesn't actually even need to be a thing anymore, because you can just obviously digital. Assets. And did you hear about the
NFTs? Yeah, man, I told you last week, right?
50 million. The digital artwork went for this week.
NFTs, man,
just insane.
Non-fungible tokens. It's incredible stuff.
Yeah, really, really is. As we've just lost Andre in 5th place.
So we're down to 4
Decent
now. I
run
mean,
for
this is
him.
moving
Yeah,
pretty
down
quickly.
yeah.
You don't want to blink.
No, it is flying quite quick. Although it's Pedro that's been doing all the action here. Pedro Canero, who's again just been very, very active and has built now a nice 2.4 million chip stack.
Listen, Lee, before we finish off on Natalie, you might not even know this, but Natalie was second choice for that hosting job because I'd reached out to Piers Morgan earlier in the week.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I just thought he'd be great, a bit controversial. I thought he'd be excellent for it, but he said, no, sorry, Des, mate, I'm onto a really good thing here at ITV. Sorry, another time maybe.
That's unfortunate. That is, I mean, I was quite disappointed. I'd applied for a job to read the weather on Good Morning Britain because they said there was going to be a vacancy coming up, but apparently it's not there very available anymore.
Filled internally.
Yeah.
The holder decided not to leave.
That. Yeah, quite fancied that.
Yeah, Morgan is quite the baby, isn't he? Horrible little specimen, I have to say.
Yeah, that whole thing's just it's just weird, isn't it? Again, you're trying to work out what the agendas are and who's trying to do what. I actually thought the weather guy spoke quite very well on his views on that,
right.
and it was just simple. I don't like what I'm hearing, so I'm going to walk out.
I think
very, very
I think it's okay to have an opinion, as it's okay to have an opinion on most things, and I think that should be respected. Whether you're pro or against or whatever, I think that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But if your opinion matters so much to you that you're willing to walk out on a live TV show because somebody has another opinion, somebody who might be perceived as junior to you in the team, then keep walking. As far as I'm concerned, keep walking.
Yeah, no, it's. But he will pop back up again
sure
elsewhere. I did hear there was a couple of I believe there's a couple of new news channels that are coming into the UK soon that are going to be a little bit kind of American style in their
interesting
in their approach, because it's going to be online content, which means therefore it doesn't come under some of the kind of the formal legislation of broadcasting.
So are they being streamed, or are they actually going to be?
Yeah, no, they're talking about it being streamed, which means therefore the content. It's very similar to, I guess, to what you get with the kind of the cable style Fox News style stuff in America, and therefore it can be whatever it wants to be, I guess, which will be interesting. There were suggestions that he may well pop up on one of those. He won't be able to work for very long. That's for sure.
Yeah. Listen, a little bit of good news amongst the bad. Asa McGrath's popped up. Very quick dive in to say evening all. Asa had a birthday a couple of days ago, I think. Yesterday, maybe the day before. If I'm not mistaken.
All he wanted was a Man City win.
Oh, he got that. He got that
quite
in
see
spades. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. If I was a bookie, I'd be paying out on that one.
What do they need? Four wins out of the last 8, I think it is. I think that's all it is. So it's not very much. It might be 5, and that's assuming United win all their remaining games.
I'll tell you, Lee, Liverpool are back. We are back. Fabinho put back into the number 6 position in our Champions League last 16 round against Leipzig. Thiago pushed further forward, what we've been calling for all season, and the team looked just a different animal. And of course, Leipzig came out and tried to play them also, I have to say.
Yeah, but I never understood if you've got fit centre backs, whoever they might be.
We didn't.
No, but you signed a couple in January, and it's a case of as soon as you've signed a couple and you've got a couple there, play them and
well, that's what he's done.
Put your decent midfielders in midfield, because that will assist your centre backs. So it seemed a bit of a weird way to go about it, but so obviously interesting news for you this week in that Klopp has said he doesn't want the Germany job.
Never in doubt.
Came out very quickly to say that. Actually,
never in question. Never in question.
So Asa says Asa says 14 points to go. But I would imagine, in all serious, United are going to drop I would suggest, what have we got left? We got 9. I mean, we're going to at
A
least
large.
draw one, lose
You're going to
one, if
drop a
not more than
large
that.
percentage of them, I would think.
We've got to play you guys yet, and the chances are we'll struggle there. We've got to play Leicester. We've got to play Tottenham. So the facts, we're gonna, even if we said, okay, we drew all 3 of those and won the rest, that's still dropping 6 points, which means Man City needs 8 points.
City are
3 wins.
City are there. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time.
And thoroughly deserved. I mean, the frightening thing is City could go and win their remaining 8 games, and that will then put them on 95 points.
Yeah.
And that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's
okay. It's okay.
Absolutely phenomenal. It
wouldn't have won the last 3 leagues.
No, but the point
is, it's insane, right?
But this is what I'm saying. But if you take the last 3, the points that have been scored by the winning teams compared to what when United were in their pomp in the 90s and early noughties, we weren't getting anywhere near those sorts of numbers. And for teams to be doing
the
that,
numbers are incredible.
For teams to be doing that 2-3 seasons in a row, whether it be Liverpool or Man City or actually one of the seasons it was both of them, is just insane.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure whether I can't work out whether that is saying that those 2 teams are that good, or whether it's actually that the rest of the league has been a little bit.
I think it's that those 2 teams have been that good. Yeah, I think they really have insane numbers for 3 seasons in a row. They've sort of driven each other on. Not so much this season, but I think they've created this feeling that you can't afford to drop points. And on that front, listen, I've managed to marry up two of my personal interests, Lee. One of which is Liverpool. Just check this sucker out. Let's see if this works. Oh my God! Right, here we go.
So explain. You are going to need to some.
So obviously this is Flight Simulator at Liverpool, right? So I'm obviously I love Flight Simulation. Do not spend anywhere near enough time in it. I would say I've had 1 session in the last 2 to 3 weeks, but some gifted artist has come up with a Liverpool-inspired color scheme for a plane. So I've managed to get hold of it, and then I've managed to rip a video and include the theme. So it's created a lovely little, thing.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, for the football-related podcast, I think it could be quite a nice little segment.
Nice
I have to say.
Yeah, no, I like. Yeah, very nice. Very nice indeed. So we're heads up in this.
I know. Yeah, it's gone quickly, Lee.
Yeah, Pedro against Yanis. And Nanine finished in 3rd place in the end. Neil's in 4th. We mentioned Andre in 5th. But yeah, it's actually flown by this final table. And Pedro's got a lead here, sort of 5-1 chip lead. So really should be applying the pressure here with blinds at 25,000, 50,000. Really should just be putting your foot down. To get this over with.
Asa said, "Oh no, what a time for my stream to crash."
Did you see the comment of 2 points to guarantee finishing above Liverpool?
Yeah, I just ignored that. I have no I won't be baited on that one.
What do you obviously you find out on Friday who you've got in the next round of the Champions League. But that puts you into what, the last 8, is it?
So we're in the quarterfinals, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what odds would you give yourself on winning it?
Well, if you'd asked me
before the draw,
yeah. So if you'd asked me a week ago, right, when we were 2-0 up from the first leg of the Leipzig game, then
oh, what a run out! Ace 4 versus Ace King.
Wow!
3-6-5
wow.
and a deuce on the river, which means Pedro takes down the win on that one, and we will switch to the PLO main event where we're 3-handed, and we've got Rob Swindell's currently chip leader in that one, so we'll get that moved across. But Pedro picks up.
We're switching to PLO, are we, Lee?
Yeah, we'll switch to the PLO.
Sorry, let's
because we all love a bit of full card action on a Sunday night. No pressure for Rob. So he's first of 3 in this. He's also second of 9 in the turbo knockout that started at 9 o'clock as well.
It's okay, isn't it?
So he is he's adding to his points. I don't think he's going to be enough points to get him top of the table, because he was starting at 8th, so he was 130 points off. Let's see whether he can do it. Let's work out where he is. If he wins this, he'd pick up 55 points, and if he wins the PKO, actually, yeah, he could if he won them both. If he won them both, that's the target then, Mr. Swindells. You need to do 2 wins. Chip leader in the PLO, second chips in the Sunday Turbo Knockout. I think 2 wins might do it for him.
Wow. Okay, that'll be keen to. We'll be as interested in how this goes as Mrs. Swindells, I have to say. She'll be wanting payback on that busy Mother's Day Sunday that she's had from Rob.
Oh, I might be taking that back. So no, he's not going to be able to. No, not quite. No, he's not going to be able to.
So are we able to crown Dean?
I think we're going to be able to crown Dean. Yes.
Dino, mate. It looks like you've got there.
Well, I don't want to call it too soon because John Murray has a go at me if I get it wrong. So I've got to be careful.
Keep your options open. Get as many points in the spreadsheet before we'll do that. But just talking about Liverpool there.
So odds. What do you reckon?
So after the first leg, where we were 2-0 up on Leipzig, we played well, but we still had Fabinho at centre back, right, alongside one of the kids. Now since then he's played both of them. They've played together twice. They look pretty solid, but having Fabinho in front of them has made a huge difference. So I wasn't even massively confident for the second leg against Leipzig. But actually, I thought we played an amazing second leg against Leipzig. I thought we looked very comfortable and ran out fairly comfortable winners in the end, 4-0 on aggregate. So my mindset has changed in a week. It has. I think we're playing free and easy in this Champions League because I think teams are just coming out and playing us. Right, they see Liverpool struggling in the league, 7th or 8th position, title gone, injuries all over the place. I think they're just coming out and taking us on. I think that plays into our hands, to be honest. So it feels like a bit of a relief playing in Europe. Now, it did seem about a week ago, it did seem like you'd have a last 8 of, Juventus, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and one other hot sort of team. So it looked as if it was going to be a really stacked quarterfinal lineup. But at Dortmund, I think, was the 8th team. So Dortmund have made it, but Juventus have been knocked out by Porto. Something of a surprise. I think Chelsea and Seville could be an interesting one next week. But, I think if Liverpool were to get Porto, certainly. If they were to get Dortmund, they're just magnificent going forward, but actually they're not great in defence. So that could be an interesting sort of high-scoring game. The winner of the Chelsea-Seville game. So I think there are several games that Liverpool could get in the quarterfinals that actually you'd feel fair enough. We'll take our chances here. So it's sort of hard to say because it's very draw dependent in terms of going all the way. So City is probably the team that I'm most nervous of because I think they're the best team in it. I think they've been the best team in it before and slipped up though. So they'll obviously get through the quarters. I'd prefer to stay away from them. But if we end up taking on City, I think City will be a bit nervous about that, to be honest.
But would you agree that, over two legs, you wouldn't want Man City. You probably, Bayern Munich, you'd struggle with.
I don't think we struggle with Bayern Munich, to be honest.
Oh, you don't think you'd struggle with against Bayern Munich over two legs?
No. I mean, we knocked them out 2 years ago over two legs. We hammered them at their place. Yes, they won it last season, but, they're neck and neck with Leipzig as far as the German league is concerned. We just knocked Leipzig out 4-0. I mean, Leipzig were on top of the German league a week ago.
We beat Leipzig 5-0.
But they also knocked you out, right?
Well, no, they didn't knock us out. They beat us 3-2. We got knocked out of the group stages because we managed to screw up a game against the Turkish guys.
But that then effectively made that sixth match day a knockout game for you, right? You draw over there and you go through. So my point is, given that they're so close to the top of the Bundesliga, sort of 28, 29 matches in, they've done reasonably well in the Champions League. And I actually think it's not just that we beat them. We completely outplayed them. And I'm not quite sure why that is. It might have been that they underestimated us, which would be a reasonable thing to do given the form that Liverpool have shown. We've lost our last 6 games at home. But I think you'd definitely fancy, and you'll get far shorter odds on Bayern Munich and City than you will Liverpool. And I think that's reasonable, very reasonable. But it sort of feels like we haven't got a great deal to lose. I don't think anybody fancies us. And I think that's not a bad place for Liverpool to be coming from because teams play more open against us. And that just gives our front three more license to play.
So where would you position yourselves then? What sort of second or third favourites then?
No, I think PSG are above us. I think Bayern are above us. I think City are above us.
So how can you say that you think you wouldn't have an issue playing Bayern Munich over two legs if?
Because I don't fear anyone.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think we'd start as favourites, but honestly, I don't think anybody will fancy Liverpool in the last 8. I don't think any of the teams will fancy Liverpool. It's just instinct.
No, that's fair enough. So what odds were you giving yourself on winning it?
I don't think I have done. I mean, I'm not sure.
No, just curious. No, just curious. Know where you think you
10-1, maybe 9-1, 10-1, 11-1 in that sort of ballpark. It's really difficult.
Bookies have got you at 6-1.
Oh, that surprises me. Yeah, what did they have us as in terms of the number of teams? We're in the top 4.
Yeah, 4th.
Wow.
Yeah, City are favourites at 9-4. Bayern Munich 3-1. PSG 5-1. Liverpool 6-1, and then 12-1 bar.
See, I wouldn't be unhappy getting PSG. I wouldn't be unhappy getting Bayern. I mean, don't get me wrong. Part of that is that there's no shame in going out to one of those teams. I think expectations would be lower. Dortmund, I think, would be a high-scoring game. I think that over two legs, that could be a 5-all type game. It has that sort of look. Chelsea or Seville, it's hard to say really. I'd be okay with drawing either of them. So yeah, maybe we're in 4th, and those games are likely to be tight.
Yeah, either way, I think actually the last 8 in the Champions, it's a strong last 8.
It is pretty. It's Porto is the one that surprised a few people, but to be honest, Porto have played well. They've beaten Juventus over two legs. Can't argue with that, right?
No. It's starting to become an aging Juventus side.
Yeah.
But no, you can't be critical of that whatsoever. And I think there'll be plenty of goals in it. I mean, I just think, I think if you can avoid in the quarterfinals City, Bayern Munich, or PSG, and give yourselves a chance of a semi-final, then all of a sudden, you're 2 legs away from a final, and
I just think
and it's all, and then on your day in a final, I mean, you likely to have any of the bigger injuries back by then? No, you're not, are you?
potentially.
They said they're out for the Euros, aren't
Yeah,
they?
but they're saying all sorts of things,
Yeah.
potentially. But if you're the unknown variable here for Liverpool is the feel good factor of A, still being in it, and B, actually starting to play well in it. That's the unknown variable. It seems to me that over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks since Christmas, we've really not been looking forward to our games for lots of good reasons. The pressure's been on top of us. I don't think that pressure is there in the Champions League. I think expectation is very, modest, and we're just enjoying seeing some good football again. And part of that is just being allowed to play. It feels good, We've played well when we've been allowed to play. So yeah, I wouldn't be, I'm not going to be crying if we draw Bayern or City. As I said, I think there are 2 or 3 of those top 3, 4 teams that probably wouldn't want to get Liverpool necessarily.
No, it's going to be. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. And obviously, from where you are in the league, if you want Champions League next year, then
we're 5 points off Chelsea at the moment.
Do you think that's in the league? There's so many teams in there that are in with a shout, aren't there? It's
no, I think we've left it too late. Personally, I think we've just lost too many games. Just can't see.
I think the difficulty is that you with the Premier League is you have to look at it and go, are they all gonna fall by the wayside?
Well, by all accounts, they are, because every weekend now we're seeing. Spurs drop points, Chelsea drop points, West Ham drop points. We only need one place to be up for grabs. Happy to see United and and Leicester continuing to win, because Leicester are a further 5 points ahead. So, it's obviously the Chelsea spot, that Chelsea, West Ham, Spurs, Liverpool.
Well, there's 4 of you. There's 4 of you now. They're on 28 games, aren't there? So
yeah,
Liverpool, Tottenham, Everton, and West Ham. Chelsea are then in the 4th place spot of having played 1 game more. So you're 8 points off Chelsea with a game in hand. So it could be, as you say, it could be 5, and everybody could be concertinaed into that.
Yeah,
that little thing where they're all playing for it.
So with 8, 9 games to go,
five teams playing for 1 place. Maybe.
Not impossible, because all of those teams have dropped points recently. Nobody's purpling it. In terms of
and there's not, and that's not to say that a Leicester or a United
couldn't fall off of it as well.
Don't fall off the cliff with 9 games to go. I mean, Leicester, it happened, to them last season, where it just couldn't quite get across the line when it mattered. So that's not to say that that can't do. But I must admit, I mean, I was very impressed with West Ham came with a game plan today against United, and were unlucky to concede an own goal, and then had to kind of change what they were going to do. But actually, they're very well organized. I mean, Moyes is a good manager. I mean, he just came into Man United at the wrong time. Whoever was going to follow Ferguson, I can understand him feeling he couldn't turn the job down, but ultimately, whoever it was going to be on a hiding to nothing. Yeah.
What do you make of United's appointment of Darren Fletcher, and more importantly, is the guy's name John Murta or something like that?
Yeah, he's been with the club for a long time. Been about 6 or 7 years.
Does that not make it an odd appointment?
Yeah, it's just a structuring. That's all they're doing. It's just working out who's gonna do what, and getting that in place. I don't think it's odd at all. It's somebody that knows the club and knows what they're doing, rather than bringing somebody else in new. In that type of position, how many new ideas are there as a director of football? If in want of, I guess that's what the role is in essence. Fletcher's a good football guy. Whenever he's talked about the game and the punditry he's done, seems to know what he's talking about, and seems fairly sensible. So, and because they've been at United, players and coaches for a good time. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I just thought it was maybe an opportunity for a little bit of fresh new thinking. I mean, they've all presided over. Well, Murta, I think, has presided over quite a period of change. Or arguably, it's in a much better place today than it has been. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think he had as much sway earlier on. And bear in mind, we're now talking a number of years since the days of Fergie, when he pretty much ran the show.
Yeah.
And he was director of football as well as manager, coach, and everything else.
How do you think does it work?
Long gone.
How does it work organizationally now, Lee? Do the three of them report into Woodward, or like who's the ultimate?
Yeah, pretty much. My understanding of that's how it's gonna structure. But I mean, it's been crying out for Woodward to just kind of step back from footballing matters for a long time. And I don't know quite why it's taken so long to put somebody in place, and effectively to then put somebody in place that was already sort of there.
Yeah, seemed odd.
But there was talks of kind of Edwin van der Sar coming over from Ajax. I think even Rio Ferdinand got interviewed at one point.
Yeah.
Before
Remember that.
And there are players that I still say Gary Neville would be a ridiculously good director of football in a club. Looking and seeing the way, watching the kind of Salford documentaries and the way he manages the business side of things, it's good, because that's what you need. You need somebody who's a bit savvy. You've got it at Liverpool, in spades of the right people that actually can make the right business decisions, but with a football kind of knowledge. And then leave the coach to get on with the coaching, and leave the commercial guys to get on with maximizing what they can commercially for the business. I mean, it's such a gone are the days of one person. I think Arsene Wenger was probably going to be the last of them. Yeah, I would suggest of the manager that is able to run the entire club effectively and make all those decisions. It doesn't really. Well, even Mourinho doesn't get to do that.
No, that was very evident from the Netflix documentary. It was a shame to see Chris Wilder get his marching orders this week. Not a surprise, but
it's not a surprise. But I also think it was just it was kind of inevitable with the owner that was going to be the case. I don't think there was ever much kind of loyalty there from the owner, and although he got them promoted from nowhere. In League One, I think when he took them on, I mean, they've just had a really unlucky season. The money they spent in the summer compared to the previous summer, they have spent fairly big on players, and it's just not really worked out. I mean, how much did you have off them?
25 million for Ryan
25 million. I mean, just for Bruce. I mean, who's not scored a goal in the Premier League?
Yeah. I don't think he's had too much time on the pitch. To be honest,
you got Bournemouth relegated the year before.
That's fantastic.
Flogging them
That's Michael Edwards. I'm so glad you didn't go after Michael Edwards.
Absolute crock of shit. And you've done the same to Sheffield United. You've taken their money and given them a useless striker.
And we've bought Jota.
Nobody will sign a player from Liverpool again.
We've bought Jota and Thiago for a confirmed upfront payment of $5 million cumulative for both of them this year. Payment terms. It's just they've done some good wheeling and dealing.
Absolutely frightening stuff. But yeah, sad to see, because but just it kind of inevitable. You can't have a run of results like that, and yet still they managed to beat us at Old Trafford.
I tell you what, ironically though, if you look at Norwich stuck with Daniel Farker.
Good manager though,
Good manager, yeah. But they respected that actually he was probably the ideal candidate to bring them back up because he'd done it previously. And I suppose that, Wilder had started managing Sheffield United when they're in League One. So he's brought them from League One into the Championship, into the Premier League, kept them there, had a sterling season, one sterling season. Was he not well equipped to bring them up? I suppose the key variable there is the change in ownership, whereas there's probably a lot more stability in Norwich.
But that was a messy point in time, wasn't it? Because you had the dual owners, and they went to court, didn't they, as to who was going to be the owner, and it all gets very. I suppose at some point you just turn around and go, okay, I know I'm not your guy. You didn't put me in the first place, and yes, you've kept me around because we got into the Premier League, and it would have been impossible for you to get rid of me. However, now you can. Yeah.
Listen, talking about Sheffield, I've got a quandary, I'm going to seek your advice on this, right? So some months ago, right, a lot of months ago, I did something that I'd always fancied doing, but I'd never gotten round to it. And I managed to bag 2 tickets for the final night of the snooker at the Crucible. And of course, the world went to wreck and ruin and all of that good stuff. We never recovered. And I've got these 2 tickets, right, for the final night of the final at the Crucible, right? They're good tickets as well. I've got a couple of them. I paid an absolute fortune for them. So the government has recently announced that apparently the snooker is going to be a test event for everybody going back to, whatever. So
Are your tickets valid then?
I think so. What the hell should I do?
Wow.
What should I
Wow.
do? I still
But
reckon.
didn't they have the snooker was back on at when we had the first lot of test events, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was like little groups of people and not very many people there at all.
Well, you see, there's only 800 can get into the Crucible.
Yeah.
So it's pretty small.
How easy is it it's not easy to get tickets then, I take it. You don't
Oh, sold out.
So yeah, what I'm saying is the chance of you getting them again anytime soon. It's one of those things
Well,
to tick off the bucket list, isn't it? Of like,
yeah.
you're there at the final night of the World Championship.
Yeah, but it's when you talk about, it's when you use the words kick and bucket. That's, it's not just kicking the bucket list, it's kicking the bucket. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Will you get a chance to get back there again?
Well, I haven't had any vaccinations yet. So, that's got to be a consideration.
Me neither. Pete Wigglesworth's got his booked, but he's significantly older than you and I, so that's understandable.
And better looking, it has to be said.
Well, yeah, that's
it has to be said.
True.
Yeah, so I don't know if that'll come through in the next month, and even if it does, I don't know if that's timely enough.
I heard a rumor that they were saying now they reckon they could have everybody over the age of 40 done by Easter.
I don't know.
It seemed a little bit extreme, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, you have to decide what to do with your tickets. Yeah, tricky one.
It's a bit tricky because it's always been a bit of a bucket list item, sure. And I've always even put up on Facebook on that final Monday night, the bank holiday.
When would it be? When is it?
It's May the 2nd or 3rd, I think. Sunday night. I can't remember if it's Sunday night.
So would you go? So if you'd had a vaccine, would you go? Was that just a no-brainer then? if you were allowed to go and it was,
I don't think it's an absolute no-brainer, but I'd certainly be much more inclined to go. And of course, what they're talking about is with it being a test event. So you get up there, you have your tests going into the auditorium. Everything is done very, very quickly. You go in, you have 2 tests or something, or you certainly need a test to access the place. So it seems reasonably safe. But, the reality is if you go from London up to Sheffield, there's possibly service stations and there's all sorts of nonsense. But to be honest, I mean, it was in Tesco's today. So it's like...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of day-to-day living, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And of course, you're bearing in mind that you're coming into contact now with a lot more people that have had a vaccination. It's... I dread to think the number of people today that have gone to visit their mum simply on the basis that their parents will have had a vaccination by now, and either they have or even if they haven't, they're taking the view that, well, actually, it's a lot safer than it was even 3 months ago.
Well, we'll have to see.
Jen said there was some stats. She said 1 in 4 people they reckon in the country just decided today they were just going to go and visit parents for Mothering Sunday.
We did not do that, but Sean told me that Wales is getting back to some semblance of normality.
Yeah, way ahead of the curve. Started the whole vaccination process kind of behind the times, but has caught up and is now roaring ahead on getting the job done. So they're really, really hammering getting the vaccines out, and then they can get things open. So
maybe we've got this thing beat.
Great
at long last.
Well, they still think that there's the likelihood that there'll be another spike next winter. Due to kind of variations.
We'll be in far better position, right, to deal with it.
Yeah, massively. Which is what you ideally want. Still will have cost us way more than it probably should have done, but we're ahead of most countries now. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a discussion this week, regarding Vegas. So it kind of got rumored that the World Series would happen this year, but not in the normal time slot, and that was kind of where it was left at, as to whether it's going to be any more.
That's what I've heard.
More than that, but obviously the big news was that that Phil TC's
Phil TC,
50th,
it's cancelled. So he's
announced
going to have to be 49
yeah.
again this year. You know,
he's 49. To be fair, he's been 49 for a while.
Don't say. He's gone to the adjudication panel, and they've awarded him 49 again. So we're having the 50th just in 12 months' time.
Fine. But so there's the likelihood that we'll get to do something, and obviously we had Yvonne from Malta on the Orbit on Monday, and she was talking about putting on a beautiful Malta Poker Festival in November, and six-handed, and all these plans to do that. So what's great is there's people that are out there wanting to try and get poker events on. And I think the more vaccines there are, and I think there's a number of game changers. The vaccine is obviously one massive one. I think also these lateral flow tests where they can turn things around in half an hour, I think again is a huge way of being able to put on bigger events and kind of know that people are okay. I just wish they'd organize this kind of vaccine passport solution to have it in play. I don't understand why they rolled out this NHS app and all this kind of thing, and why you can't have built into that to be like, here you go, here's my confirmation that I've had a vaccine.
A lot of people get nervous. They get nervous about being tagged,
but don't have it then. If you don't want it, don't have it. But at the same time, for those that are quite happy to have it, it speeds up so many processes. If you're happy to just have that, I've always been a firm believer that I've got no problem. I mean, I'll have a chip in my arm if it means that I don't get done for ID fraud or anything like that in the future, and it can only be me. I mean, I'd do it tomorrow.
Happy days, bring it on. Yeah,
wouldn't think twice about it.
I must
it would
admit,
be just bring it on. Yeah, fine. If you need to track where I am, I really have no cares in the world about that. Fine, crack on. I'm not planning on doing anything illegal. So, really, what do you want to do with it? It's not like we're anywhere near Minority Report, where I walk down the street and I get adverts aimed. I mean, you get that on social media, but we're not anywhere near that at the moment. So listen, fine. I mean, they've got the ability to track you by your phone.
Yeah,
anyway.
but listen, within poker, this all seems rather unnecessary because, of course, the variable that people haven't taken into account in all of the analysis that's been done, over the last year, particularly with regards to poker players, is poker players have been pissing on their hands for years and going in, handling chips, passing them around, and I haven't seen a zombie poker player at all, ever. A little bit of virus isn't going to hurt a poker player.
The good thing, the positives to come out of this whole thing episode is that the cleanliness in poker rooms should be tenfold what it was before.
Oh, bring it on!
Which will be amazing.
The button.
But I think I said on the show last year that I've done Vegas twice, but each time one of the things that you packed was hand gel.
Well, the hand sanitizer button, that is the innovation within poker, if you ask me.
But I've always packed that for when going to Vegas, because you're dealing with chips or whatever all the time. So you just, you always have it. So, we get to a break and, you just kind of, squeeze it, clean your hands and make sure that you're okay for the next session. I mean, it's because it was notorious for...
Is that because you can't get Brillo? You can't get Brillo pads through customs. Is that the thing?
Yeah, they get really funny about that.
Oh, it's me Brillo pads, love. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but it's just the reality of a trip to Vegas. So hopefully it might just mean that we get a little bit more consistency in everybody following suit.
Lee. Talking about beeping at customs when you go through customs, I'm sure you followed the story about the Team Sky doctor who's been found guilty of ordering Testagel or whatever the hell it was. What do you make of that? I mean, that's quite the thing.
Yeah, it's well, we always knew there was cycling's not the cleanest of sports, is it? I mean, funny enough, the Oprah Winfrey interview this week just reminded me of
Craig Lamond, was it?
as I say, have you seen where pretty much she manages to get it out of him fairly quickly that actually, I did take drugs, and it's like it wasn't exactly needed to be too much of a cutting interview, but I guess it's with that
it's
team,
showtime here, Lee. Showtime in the poker.
And Rob's going to get a double
Rob.
up with flop Broadway, and was up against two pairs. So the board needed a pair for Andrus, and it didn't, which is going to leave Andrus now a very, very short stack, and is looking, pretty much just potted it on the button. And we'll see whether Rob in a very strong position to take this one down. Now he's just bust the turbo in 5th place, so the dream is very much over. Although I think it might have been over before then.
Unlucky Rob.
But
he's having a good night nonetheless. But this Dr. Lee.
He is. Yeah.
So no smoke without fire. I think that was part of the decision-making process, because there doesn't seem to be a massive amount of conclusive evidence of any riders being tampered with, if I can use that expression. But I think the sense is the only reason this guy would have ordered this stuff, they're saying, is, for provision to a rider. So does this discussion continue on now to identify who or whom these riders might be?
And also it's the question of who's making that decision.
Yeah.
You'd imagine it's not the doctor. You can only imagine that the doctor is being instructed to have this provision in place, because the doctor's not necessarily going to be involved in necessarily the performance angle of it. So it feels like there's more to it, but of course now that's come out, you kind of think, well, it's got to go on to investigate further.
So
you can't just leave it at that, can you?
The doctor claimed he got this stuff because a more senior colleague within the team had erectile dysfunction, and that this stuff helped with that problem. And of course, the other party, the third party, is saying absolutely not. That wasn't, that didn't happen. So that would have been an easy sort of get out of jail for both of them. Maybe a little embarrassing for one of them, but they didn't cooperate in that sort of way. So it's very messy. And of course, since then, Sky have sort of offloaded the brand ownership of the team. It's now Ineos, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's which is the same as the America's Cup sailing, isn't it? Now with
just doesn't
Ineos.
massively
that's
reflect well.
That's what's it? Ratcliffe, isn't it? Ineos.
Right.
The richest guy in Britain.
Right.
I'm trying to think what his first name is. Maybe John, might be John Ratcliffe.
Can't place him. Well, it's messy.
Which is quite mad, isn't it? Because you say he is the richest guy around.
But there are also, it hasn't gone unnoticed that this period coincided with a golden period for British cycling at the Tour de France, both at team and individual level. And there were some sterling names that took down the Tour de France yellow jersey. Does this cast shadows over those wins? I mean,
I think it probably tarnishes. I think it tarnishes all of it. And as you say, it's back to the kind of no smoke without fire kind of scenario. So unfortunately, it's that's what's going to happen, which is a shame. But what can you do with these things?
Can't do anything. I suspect it's not the last we've heard of this. It's
but cycling's always had it, isn't it? And you kind of go, well, it used to be, athletics used to be pretty bad, but they seem to have cleaned up their act reasonably well.
The Tour de France, if I'm not mistaken, used to take place in May. Is that right? So it wouldn't be a million miles away.
Right. Yeah.
And I assume it will take place again this year. I mean, you don't necessarily have to allow crowds to be there.
As Rob busts.
What's going to happen?
Andrus there. So heads up now with a 6 to 1 chip lead. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with it, because obviously the crowds at the Tour de France, obviously line the streets, and it's all very packed in certain places. But a lot of the Tour de France is just open road. So I guess if the cyclists are all in a bubble, then
Yeah.
that's
What,
okay.
Lee, what a magnificent summer of sport is ahead. And it's going to be a highly unusual one, right? Different countries, different situations, and what have you. As Rob is all in here, or Anton rather is all in against Rob.
Yeah,
and
Anton's
doubles.
going to get a double up with a pair of queens. Yeah, it's going to be a weird one. So obviously, Japan have made the decision that no overseas fans will be allowed into Japan or Tokyo for the Olympics.
I've never known anyone
from
who's gone to the Olympics, I have to say.
Yeah, from obviously our perspective as viewers of that. Okay, it's going to be a bit strange. They're not being packed arenas maybe for these, although that's not to say that actually locals won't pack up every single event. I didn't ever go to any of the stuff for London 2012, but I don't know what the kind of ratio was of it being UK residents versus people coming in for the Olympics. But I think everything will run in the Olympics, in which case, as long as you've got the level of quality sport, because the athletes have had the opportunity to train and get to peak physical condition for it, then it should be an absolutely cracking 4 weeks worth of Olympics. Of course, we've got Euro 2020 now 2021, which is going to be interesting, because I do worry about that. Simply looking at the players in the Premier League, they look exhausted.
Yeah, I agree.
They really do. I mean, watching United play today, and Bruno Fernandes just looks like a player that needs a proper break.
If you asked me earlier about Gomez and Van Dijk, for example, Klopp's already come out and said, nah, you're not going to be ready for the Euros. I would think there is every possibility they'll be ready to play 2 to 3 matches before the end of the Premier League season, but I don't think Klopp would play them. I think because he knows if he does that, they'll go off to the Euros. They'll be training with their countries. They'll be playing another heavy schedule, straight back to it again after a tiny pre-season, and they've been heavily injured. So I don't think he'll play them, simply because I think he'll want to not see them go to the Euros.
Oh, let them have a complete
an extended break,
a complete break. Yeah, and that is the fear, that you get burnout from players. I mean, what's happening with the things like I'm assuming Wimbledon will happen this year, because obviously a lot of the other tennis is now happening again, and the Australian Open happened, didn't it? So I'm assuming that that will go ahead. Normal again, whether it's full packed stands or not is another thing altogether, but no reason why it shouldn't go ahead. So there is, it's going to be a really, really busy summer, and obviously we're still going to be in an element until June the 27th in the UK. Will be a certain element of lockdown still, and I think there's going to be a reasonable percentage of the population that even when June the 21st comes along, are just going to go, I'm quite happy as I am.
Cautious. Yeah.
Not going to be in any rush. And just looking with Rob's got there with the diamonds.
Yeah, he has indeed got there.
Yeah, turns the flush, and so that's done. And literally as exactly as that one played out. The turbo knockout has concluded as well, with Christina Dumin picking up the win in that one. So I'll do a quick once round the
let's do it.
A quick once round where we've got here, because it's so 4 tournaments tonight, so it's been a little bit on the crazy side. So earlier on tonight, it was the 5 p.m. Sunday deep stack. It was Dean Pearson that took that one down, Yanni in second, Daniel Anderson in third. So Dean picked up $233 for that one. Very well done to him. We watched Pedro Canero win the Sunday main event, scooping $836. Yanis finished in second for $540, and Nanine Rogers finished in third for $373. Then we got to the 8 p.m. PLO. We've just witnessed that come to its conclusion. Rob Swindells picks up $374 for winning that one. Anton Falconby finished in second, and Andres Oyeja finished in third from Canada. And at exactly the same time, we didn't get to watch any of it, but it did just finish. The Sunday Turbo knockout. That had 71 runners in that, and that was won by Christina Dumin from Germany. Matthew Bright from Canada was in third, and let's have a go at Athanasis Kurtios from Greece finished in second place as well. So all of that, bung it all together, 16 tournaments for the week, and let me give you a rundown of who's made the top 20.
Here we go.
So from 20th up, Daniel Zezak from Slovenia, Joe Saunders, Andy Heath, Pete Wigglesworth, Flavio da Silva from Brazil, Gary Young, Pedro Canero, Eddie Niaksu, Simon Gordon, Thorodor Eriksson from Iceland, Evelyn Johnson, John Murray, Andre from Kazakhstan's made it into there. He's in there. Sergei Peremetov from Russia, Aaron Swasland from the UK as well. Then the top 5, Yanni has made it in 5th place, so he's going to get double tickets. Matty Ogilvie finishes in 4th. He's going to get double tickets. Rob Swindells finishes in 3rd. Nanine Rogers in 2nd. And the triple tickets is going to the one and only Dean Pearson. 5 cashes for the week. All of the top 6 got 4 or more cashes in the week. So
Fantastic.
Well done to all of you. Everyone in the top 20, you're up to step 2 on the leaderboard for next week, which means you're playing for $11 tickets if you can do it again next week. Yeah, great fun. Enjoyed that for the week.
Fantastic. Great week of poker, and thanks for the numbers, guys. They were spectacular this week. Yeah. As Lee said, the fun for you top 20 now is that added value jump, that bonus of going for a higher level ticket next week. So that should be really interesting to see how many make it, Lee. Where's your line? How many do you think might make
I think of that 20 might go again. I think 5.
Wow, I'm going to go on the higher.
You think higher than 5?
I think it's going to be higher than 5.
Do 2 weeks in a row. Wow.
I think Wigglesworth will be there. Ogilvie will be there. I think Pearson will be there.
See, Gary Young had 3 cashes and finished 15th.
There's a bunch of them that I think could
Might
do it
go
again.
For this next week.
We'll see. Let's write that down somewhere and see how we do. All right, guys. So with that, this is brilliantly. Look at this. It's only just after 11:30. This is like it's an early finish.
If the timings kind of work out like this every week, we might have to think about starting the show a little bit earlier than 10 o'clock in the future. I mean, all the stuff we haven't even started talking about. I mean, honestly,
I've got
all the really juicy
a ton of stuff on the list. I've got a ton of stuff. I haven't taken
all
half
the juicy
of it.
stuff. We haven't even discussed the rugby. I mean, what's
rugby?
Going on there?
It's there.
Win for Ireland today, and because
left it late.
England beat France as well means that I was trying to work the mathematics out of how Wales could not win the championship.
I think you're in good shape. You're in pretty decent shape now.
We basically need France would need to do 2 bonus point wins in their 2 games,
which to be honest they could do.
They'd need to beat us and score 4 tries, and then they'd need to beat Scotland and score 4 tries.
So a big ask. But
it's a huge ask, but it's a cheat. It can be done. Although I didn't think they looked that great against England, so we will see. But all that's to decide next weekend. It might not even be over next weekend because obviously the Scotland game's being rearranged, I reckon, for the Friday after that. So we'll see with that.
We'll wait and see. So guys, with that, it is a end of week. From the two of us. Have a great week. Play the tournaments as you can during the week. Lee and I will be back next Sunday night to do this all over again with that added bit of fun around how many of you will make it back into the top 20 next week. So until then, guys, have a great week.